This will be part 3 of our new teaching that we're doing on the actual second coming, the rapture of the church. You know, we're talking about these events. We've also been talking about the resurrection, sharing with you that the rapture is the resurrection. And you know, we're waiting. I get so encouraged when I read the scriptures and I think about the aspect that this corruptible body that I have is going to be changed to be incorruptible. This mortal shall put on immortality. Oh, wow. I'm just really excited about that aspect of my life, that, you know, that, and by the way, that I've done all the dying I'm going to do. You know, I have passed from death unto life. Now, I may die physically before the rapture or the catching up of the believers takes place, but I really don't believe that, because I believe that we're so close that I'll be able to partake of that. But regardless, this body of mine is going to take on immortality. And if you're born of the Ruach HaKodesh, then you also can take great comfort and joy in knowing that the corruptible body that you might be living in is going to be changed to be incorruptible. The scripture says, the book of Romans, that we're waiting for the adoption to be complete. See, it's not complete yet, the redemption of our body. Now, we've inherited the first fruits of our redemption, meaning that the Ruach HaKodesh, the set-apart spirit, is the seal of Yahuwah that guarantees, it's the earnest, the scripture says, the earnest of our inheritance. In other words, it's the down payment, so to speak, you know, that Yahuwah has placed upon us. For those that have purchased homes in your life, you know that when you go buy a home, they want you to put down what they call earnest money when you sign the contract to buy that home. And that earnest money represents, you know, your intentions of making the whole payment on that home at the time that you close on that home, whether you're borrowing money from a mortgage company or you're paying straight out cash or whatever. The earnest money represents your intention to pay the whole amount at the time that you close on that home and you purchase that home. Well, Yahuwah has put down the earnest of our inheritance is his Ruach HaKodesh. Wow. And so we're waiting for the adoption to be complete, the redemption of our bodies. And so we're waiting for the closing, so to speak, of redemption, which will be the resurrection that is soon to take place. Now, we left off in our last session reading from 1 Corinthians chapter 15. You'll find this is where it's actually mentioned in verses 51, 52, and 53. Oh, you could go on down and read the whole chapter down to 58. But in particular, this is verse 51, we've already read how Paul said that we shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. And again, this is a reference to the resurrection, because it's talking about those that have died before us, you know, will be changed, just like we that are alive at this event. Those who happen to be fortunate enough or blessed enough to be living on the earth when this event takes place, that you will not have to go through physical death. And so I believe, because of the study that I've done, I've been studying the scriptures for about 40 years. I've heard all the different arguments on when this event is going to take place. And I'm thoroughly 100% convinced that this event, the resurrection or the rapture or the catching up of the church, will begin before the tribulation period for a number of reasons. And I've got the scriptures that I'm going to give you as we go through and do all the sessions that need to be done on this subject to make the point of why I believe what I believe. You know, it's important to believe what you believe. I know a lot of people who don't believe the rapture, don't even believe in the rapture, and they say that's because it's not in the scriptures. Well, you know, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but you know, you're really showing a lot of ignorance by saying that. I know the word rapture is not in the scriptures, but the event itself is very well described in the scriptures. And then you have those who believe, well, I believe in the rapture, but I believe it will happen at the end of the tribulation after we go through all these terrible times. Well, again, you know, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but you know, when you take one or two scriptures that look like, that proves your point, when you haven't really reconciled all the other scriptures, and you're really making just a inadequate decision as far as your belief is concerned. Then you have people who believe what they believe, and they're so stubborn they don't want to hear anything else. And that's not a good place to be in. I don't want to be right just to be right. I want to be right because it's the truth. And I know I've changed the way that I believed about a lot of things that I've had to think things. When I first started studying about the name of the Creator, Yahuwah, my first thoughts were that His name was Yahweh, because that's, as I began the process of studying, that's what most people said His name was. And so, it takes, being diligent, being willing to change, being willing to let the Ruach HaKodesh teach you and I. That's why we have to remain humble. That's why we have to remain teachable and not so prideful that we get so locked in on what I believe and miss what the Scripture is trying to reveal to us. This event of the rapture, of the catching up of believers, is a special event for those that have already either died before us in the Messiah, in Mashiach, or those that are alive on this earth that have also received the Messiah, that are born of the Ruach HaKodesh. And that's who this event is for. Once this event happens, there will be people during the tribulation who will become believers. That's why there's a lot of confusion where you read through the Scriptures and you see certain events talking about the saints during the tribulation period. But these are saints. These are people who have come to know the Messiah during the tribulation period. Those that and during this 7-year time frame, Yahuwah is totally turning His attention. This is also referred to as Daniel's 70th week. It's also referred to as Jacob's trouble or Jacob's trouble. This is a time frame that Yahuwah is turned His attention toward the nation of Yasharel, because at the rapture of the church, the times of the Gentiles is being fulfilled, and Yahuwah is now turning His focus and His attention upon the nation of Yasharel. That's why if you read through the book of Revelation, after chapter 4, or starting at chapter 4, you don't see the church mentioned again until you get toward the end of the book of Revelation. During the times of the tribulation period, beginning at chapter 4, you don't see the church mentioned again. It's all about Yasharel, about the nation of Yasharel, and it's also dealing with the judgments that are coming upon the earth. And you won't see the church mentioned again, or the saints mentioned again, until the book of Revelation, chapter 19, where we're coming back with the Messiah, the Mashiach, to rule and reign with Him, to put an end to the enemies of the nations that have come against Yasharel, and to remove the sinners off the earth. That's one of the purposes of the tribulation, is to remove the wicked off the earth and to bring in the millennial reign of Yahushua HaMashiach. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. We've got a lot more to share, so please continue to listen in. And again, please share this with your friends. And thank you for doing that. Please continue to pray for me. I appreciate those that are praying for the ministry. And it encourages me to know that you're out there supporting me. And I'm here for one reason, that is to fulfill the calling that Yahuwah has given me to do, and to help build the body of the Mashiach by sharing with you His Word, so that we grow and not be ignorant of the things that Yahuwah wants to reveal to us. Thank you again. Shalom.